This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Wait, you wait right now. Look at me go, I'm going at. Hey! Wait, you peep right now, I'm beastin' now. Ooh. Kiss chop it, I'm at the zone. Hey! Wait, you peep right now, I'm beastin' now. Ooh.
Program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, it doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, yes. It does not matter who the host is. What has always mattered is who the listeners are. Anyways, today's Tuesday, January the 13th of 2026, day. I don't know what day it is. I should know that it's day 13, but I'm not going to go down this mess because then I have to be stuck a year trying to figure out how many days are left and all that. So you kind of get it. It's day 13. Let's see. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
Radio Big. Streaming 24/7 at radiobig.fm.
Oh, yes, the streamer Earmer. That is no doubt about that. So should I share this with you? This one was given to me this morning. No, seriously, take a listen.
The radio show you're listening to right now may ruin other radio shows forever. And we're sorry. Not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry. I don't know if this will ruin things for you, but it will definitely put it kind of one of those ways that you start thinking about some weird stuff. So let's start talking right away about some things. Our show consists of safety in the news and safety. That's kind of what we do around here. So we'll do a little bit of this and then a little bit of that, and then we kind of give you the whole format of everything that is going on inside of the multiverse. So don't worry about that because we'll make sure to take care of everything that's going on. Outside of that, as we go through the whole plethora of things, we do bring in some people. We do bring in some professional broadcasters because that's what they are. They are definitely the pros. Or like how a guy that I listen to say, where the pros are the pros. Some professional broadcasters to let you know what the hell is going on inside of the world of the multiverse. So as they do that, then I'll come in at the middle of the show, give or take, and we'll talk about our main story. Then you have the opportunity of interacting with the show if you want to do that by going to callinradio.com. Once you go to callinradio.com, we'll give you the option of doing some video, audio, or text messaging, or the opciones right there. It's the opciones of what to do. And then once you get there, voila. It's voila. And it's a simple process. And then you just type or text or record. And then I get a little prompter, and then it prompts and it tells me what the hell you're looking for. And then I go, okay, cool. So our first hour of the show, we start talking about the stuff that is going on, but that is the hour that is the podcast and the video streamer. Outside of hour 1, we don't do that. I mean, hour 2 and 3 is mostly music and entertainment news, as we're the first hour, we're talking a little bit about everything, but we do not put that one on a podcast, or the first hour we do put on a podcast, but hour 2 and 3, nowhere on a podcast. It is only available on radiobig.fm. We do stream across multiple media types. If you want to look at the visual and not go through a social media aspect, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com and then click on the section that says visual radio. That'll do it. And then the podcast comes out. I think that it comes out exactly when it's over. Within minutes, like moments of once it's over, it comes out. So it's good to go. It's good to move forward with it. So that's it. That is the whole kit and caboodle. So if you're good to go, I'm good to go. I'll bring in my friends from Feature Story News. They will tell you what the hell's going on inside of the world of the multiverse. And then we go from there. So let's do that.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. US President Donald Trump's announced a new 25% tariff for countries still doing business with Iran. The White House has also continued to threaten US military action over the crackdown by Tehran on huge anti-government demonstrations. Iran says it's open to talks with Washington, but is also prepared for war. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says there are a range of scenarios being considered.
One thing President Trump is very good at is always keeping all of his options on the table, and airstrikes would be one of the many, many options that are on the table. Diplomacy is always the first option for the president. What you're hearing publicly from the Iranian regime is quite differently from the messages the administration is receiving privately.
The Israeli military says it's ready for potential Iranian retaliation as President Trump weighs action in support of protesters. Blake Sifton reports from Tel Aviv.
With Israel on high alert over the possibility that U.S. strikes against Iran could prompt Iranian retaliation against Israel, an Israeli military spokesperson says that the country is prepared defensively and ready for surprise scenarios, but reiterated that the protests in Iran are an internal matter. Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that Israel is closely monitoring the protests and that Israel is in awe of Iran's citizens. Israel's public broadcaster is reporting that Israeli authorities believe the U.S. will attack Iran, possibly leading to attacks against Israel. However, no new security guidelines have been issued to Israeli civilians. Blake Sifton, Tel Aviv.
The White House says Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado will meet President Trump on Tuesday. He did not endorse her as a new leader for the country after President Maduro was seized by U.S. forces in Caracas last month. The French nationalist leader Marine Le Pen's appeal trial after she was found guilty of embezzling European Union funds starts on Tuesday. The French politician's fighting to salvage a possible presidential bid in 2027 after she was barred from running for public office for 5 years after a conviction in March last year. She rejected that verdict and vowed to clear her name. Ross Cullen reports from Paris.
Marine Le Pen said her conviction last year was a, quote, dark day for our democracy and our country, and she says she hopes to clear her name and prove her innocence. The landmark judgment in March 2025 barred the National Rally Party figurehead from running for public office for 5 years and sentenced her to 4 years in jail, 2 suspended and 2 to be served wearing an electronic bracelet. If the court upholds the original verdict, she could see her sentence extended to 10 years. And in that case, it's likely the 30-year-old National Rally President Jordan Bardella will run for president in her place. The verdict in the trial is expected later in the year.
Ross Cullen there, reporting from the Feature Story News Bureau in the French capital, Paris. And from bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, with more today on the situation in Iran and the policy options that exist for Western governments. We discussed yesterday the potential dangers of any American military involvement in Iran and the fear that it might only embolden the regime to take even more brutal action against demonstrators. But in the absence of a military option, what should Western powers be doing instead to help Iranians courageously rising up against their own government? Tom Tugendhat is a Conservative Party lawmaker in Britain who was previously Minister of State at the Foreign Office.
Britain and the United States have had at various different points, not altogether helpful relationships with the Iranian people. My view is the thing that we should be doing is making sure that the Iranians have access to information. Satellite TV is still getting through in various different ways, so we must make sure people have access to information. We need to make sure that people know that they're supported. The second thing we need to do, the US, Britain, and many others in the region, prepare for the transfer of power. Make sure you've got medicines, food, and everything ready to get in there, because those people are going to need a hell of a lot of help really quickly.
Many Iranians are going to great risks to consume information from outside the country, and it is worth noting that the only bit of Voice of America still permitted to function by the Trump administration is VOA's Farsi language network, targeting viewers inside Iran.
To recap the top stories, President Trump's announced a new 25% tariff for countries still doing business with Iran. The Israeli military says it's ready for potential Iranian retaliation as President Trump weighs action in support of protesters. The White House says Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado will meet President Trump on Tuesday. And also on Tuesday, the French nationalist leader Marine Le Pen's appeal trial after she was found guilty of embezzling European Union funds begins. That's the latest feature story news. Ollie Barrett reporting.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
You've seen the loop. You've felt the shift. The script doesn't fit anymore, and neither do you. Safety transmission. The collapse of the construct is the third and final signal in the trilogy from Jay Allen, PhD. And this time, it's not about waking up. It's about what you do once you're awake. The system didn't break. It just stopped pretending to hold you. And now it's blinking, rebranding presence, packaging resistance, and calling it progress. This book isn't a guide. It's a transmission. It doesn't teach the system how to evolve. It shows you how to stop performing for it. You'll see what happens when awareness becomes responsibility, when audits don't listen, and when leadership becomes a loop. But if you've made it this far, you're not here to be managed. You're here to carry signal. Safety transmission. The collapse of the construct. Now available in print, Kindle, and audiobook. Narrated by Jay Allen, PhD. Because if it couldn't hold your signal, it was never real to begin with.
You ever hit the wall, burnout, stressed, or just feeling that everything is piling up and thought, yeah, I probably need to talk to someone? The problem is finding the therapist who actually takes your insurance feels impossible at times. That's where Rula comes in. Rula is a healthcare company that makes mental health care easy to access and actually affordable. They partner with over 100 insurance plans, so the average copay is about $15 a session, sometimes even less. With Rula, you get matched with the right therapist for you, not just whoever's available. Their network has over 15,000 licensed professionals, and you can book an appointment as soon as tomorrow. No wait list, no frustrations, just therapy that works with your schedule and your insurance. Thousands of people are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that actually covered by insurance. Visit Rula.com/safetyfm to get started. After you sign up, you'll be asked how you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know that we sent you there. That's RULA.com/safetyfm. You deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget. Go to Rula.com/safetyfm right now to get started. That's RULA.com/safetyfm, because you deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, you so know that 16 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Tuesday. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So let's get into some of the news stories that are making the circles. You know what I'm saying? The circles there in regards of what's going on. Some people were already reaching out saying, hey, what do you got for us today? And I got something. So let's start off with this. I will start off with this one, and then you can kind of go to call-in radio if you want to do it from that particular portion. Last night on Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel revealed his least favorite smell, the smell of mildew on clothes. So take a listen to this.
Least favorite smell.
Least favorite smell. You know when people leave their shirts in the dryer wet, and then they wear them to work, and they don't seem to notice that they stink all day?
They're mildew.
That mildew smell,
yes,
yeah.
Yes.
I don't understand it. I mean, if there's a rag in my house that has even a hint of that, I throw it right in the washing machine. That's my least favorite smell.
Okay, so with that being said, what's the absolute worst smell in the world to you? CallinRadio.com. As I'm going through the rest of this, we'll take a look at it and go from there. So there you go. Okay, so let's get into some news stories. Mark Kelly sues Hegesh for the military censure. So take a listen to this. Senator Mark Kelly, a Democrat from Senator from Arizona, retired Navy captain and former astronaut, filed a federal lawsuit yesterday challenging actions by the Defense Secretary Pete Hegesh that could strip him of his retired military rank and reduce his pension. In November, Kelly appeared in a video with 5 other Democratic lawmakers, all who previously served in the military and or intelligence community, saying that the U.S. service members have a legal obligation to refuse unlawful orders. The video was meant to highlight the aspect of military law. Pete formally censured Kelly on January the 5th, accusing him of undermining the chain of command and making seditious statements that could erode military discipline. The censure automatically triggered a review process that could lower Kelly's retired rank and therefore cut his military retirement pay. Kelly argues that these actions are unconstitutional retaliation that violates the First Amendment rights by punishing him for protected speech and could chill other veterans from speaking out. The complaint says that the censure and rank review were politically motivated and threaten legislative oversight and free expression. He is asking a federal court in Washington, D.C. to overturn the censure and halt any effort to reduce the rank or benefits. A judge is expected to consider a temporary restraining order, so we'll see what happens there. So what do you think about that? Do you feel that politics led to the whole thing? Because that's going to be the question for you. I never know the answer to these things. I mean, one can make assumptions. You don't know the truth behind someone's intent on what he was doing. So as you look at it, do you go, okay, Kelly was in the right for making his comments, or do you think that he was in the wrong? Some people look at it more than likely from the standpoint of, hey, this was one of those things that it was done with the intent of undermining. I don't know. I don't know. Were they doing the right thing or were they doing the wrong thing? That is the court of public opinion, where decisions have to be looked at from that particular standpoint. Just kind of how it goes. Just one of those worlds where we live in that particular regards. Okay, let's continue talking a little bit about some other things that are going on inside of the world. Police arrested a 48-year-old man accused of driving a box truck into a crowd during an anti-Iranian government protest in Los Angeles and Westwood neighborhood. According to police, Carlo Mondecit was taken into custody on Sunday and booked on Monday on a misdemeanor of reckless driving charge. His bail was set to 0. Yeah, let's do that.
0.
And he is scheduled to appear in court on February the 2nd. The incident happened on Sunday afternoon near the federal building of Veteran and Ohio Avenue. Let's see, where demonstrators were protesting the Iran regime. LAPD officials monitoring the protest say the U-Haul box truck approached the intersection displaying signs that opposed the protesters' view. The crowds tore the signs off the truck and assaulted him, after which the police say that he drove the vehicle towards the group of officers, forcing people to jump out of the way. Officers secured the scene, detained Carlo, and impounded the truck. A search of the vehicle found nothing of significance, according to the LAPD. Two people were injured during the chaos, but neither required hospital transport. Police later contacted possible victims, and no one reported being struck by the truck. The protest came amid widespread unrest in Iran, where demonstrators erupted last month over a worsening economic crisis. Human rights groups report that Iran's government has responded with violent crackdowns, killing at least 646 people. Apparently, I can't stop hitting the microphone. And arresting more than 10,700. So my question becomes this. How is this going to be rectified, number one? And number two, with the vehicle being impounded, do you still have to pay the U-Haul rental fee per day?
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
It's a legit question. Don't get mad at me for asking this. Okay. So if you're about to get on a flight, let's have some conversations here in regards to some stuff. So let's handle this slowly. Go a little bit slow. Want you to hear what I have to say. It's important. But are you traveling to Canada anytime soon? Because an Air Canada flight out of Toronto was delayed after a baggage handler was accidentally trapped inside of the cargo hold while the plane was already taxiing to the runway. You know, seriously. Flight AC 1502 scheduled to fly from Pearson Airport to Mactan on December the 13th had begun taxiing when passengers heard yelling and banging coming from beneath the cabin. Travel blogger Stephanie Cure said that the screams were clearly audible, prompting concerns as flight attendants rushed back and forth, and the ground crews surrounded the aircraft. An announcement soon confirmed the issue. A ground crew member had been inadvertently locked inside of the cargo hold when the doors closed. The plane immediately returned to the gate so the workers could be freed. Air Canada later confirmed that the handler was uninjured and safe. Though the flight was delayed and ultimately did not reach Mactan that day, passengers described the moment as surreal and unsettling, though some laughed nervously when told the paperwork would be required before the departure. Another passenger, Gabriel Carron, said that it was obvious that something was wrong based on the crew's reaction to activity outside of the plane. An aviation expert said and noted that while the situation sounded terrifying, the worker was not in serious danger due to the short duration of or lack of risk of hypothermia or oxygen loss. Still, investigations are expected to examine how the incident happened and whether procedures were followed. Air Canada said that since has reinforced safety protocols with ground crews. Online critics called the additional safeguards called for additional safeguards, including radios for all ramp workers, warning systems inside of the cargo hold, or physical lockout tags to prevent doors from being closed while someone's inside. I mean, they all make critical sense in regards to what's going on. I'm just saying. Makes sense to me. When's my next trip? A matter of fact, I think I'm going to Toronto in the near future. Yeah, I have Toronto and then I have Calgary. For some reason, I always think that there's a Tate McRae tour in Calgary. I don't know why I have that assumption inside of my head. We'll leave that for a different conversation. I should probably do that in hour 2, not hour 1. Not hour 1. Yeah, so I don't know. What do you think about this whole thing? If we're keeping it as realistic as possible, because I like to do this here, I am surprised that we have not heard of this happening more frequently. That's not a joke. And I'm not saying that to be sarcastic or haha, let's get some fake laughs type of thing. I'm surprised that we have not heard of similar incidents with this. Just saying. Okay, so let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world, because that is what we do around here. Okay, so do we want to do odd stuff or miscellaneous? Let's do some odd stories real quick. Woman learns that she's allergic to her husband after years of trying to get pregnant. Alex Murphy Klein thought that the hardest part of marriage would be deciding where to eat, not biology declaring war on her husband. 2 years into the marriage, she and Paul couldn't get pregnant despite everything appearing to be fine. After a year of trying, doctors labeled the unexplained infertility. IVF didn't work either. Trusting her gut, Alex pushed for deeper answers. At-home blood test revealed that the real issue is her immune system was essentially rejecting Paul's DNA like it was a spam email. Well, that's way too close in words in regards to using spam for that. But anyways, her body wasn't broken. It was overprotective. The couple began LIT therapy, or is it lit therapy? Because that sounds like something else, which involves injecting a process of samples of Paul's blood into Alex so her immune system stops treating his DNA like an intruder. Paul admitted the journey left him feeling helpless and spoke publicly to encourage men to stop staying silent about fertility struggles. Despite the emotional roller coaster, they're hopeful, grateful, and found answers early and are determined to face infertility as a team. Turns out Paul's body isn't. Hold on. Turns out Alex's body didn't just reject Paul's DNA; it blocked him like a bad ex on Instagram. I don't know. So IVF failure because her immune system was running TSA level security is what it sounds like to me. I don't know. So some stuff going on there for sure as we are talking. Okay, what else do we want to talk about? Let's do this. A North Carolina man nearly talked himself out of a very good day. Wingate resident Stanley Thompson. Yeah, Stanley Thompson almost skipped out on buying a Powerball ticket on December the 10th drawing, but grabbed one at the last minute online for about $3. You can grab tickets online. I didn't realize that. The ticket matched 4 white balls plus a Powerball, normally worth about $50,000. Thanks to the 3 times multiplier, it ballooned to $150,000. Thompson says that he likes playing when the jackpot starts climbing, and he's especially glad that he checked that multiplier box. It took a bit to the win to feel real, but now it's sinking in. The money isn't going towards paying bills and investing, not yachts and fireworks, just smart, satisfying relief. That's good. You know, we talk about the lottery all the time here. The funny part is that I talk about the lottery a lot here, just based on information that I have. But come to being realistic, I hardly ever play the lottery. Like, I'm going to say if I might have played the lottery 20 times in my life, that might be a lot. Not a joke. Not a joke. Okay, let's continue talking real quick. Doctors suspend after scheduling bogus appointments so that she could pick up her kids. And Working Moms jumps into her defense. A UK doctor just learned that her fake patients are apparently more dangerous than no doctors at all. Dr. Helen Eisenheiner, a 43-year-old general practitioner in England, was suspended for 5 months after she blocked 2 fake appointments at the end of her workday in 2024, not for a beach getaway, but to avoid being late for picking up her kids. Dr. Helen admitted the move was dishonest and told the tribunal that she was under intense stress and sleep deprived and short on childcare and trying to juggle a young family with a busy medical practice. She said that she feared that seeing 2 more real patients would keep her past 6 p.m. pickup deadline. A partner at her clinic spotted irregularities in her schedule and confronted her, and then she self-reported to the General Medical Council. Despite expressing remorse and working part-time in a country facing severe doctor shortage, the tribunal came down hard, saying that she showed reckless disregard for patient safety and professional standards. Result: 5-month ban. So the punishment has sparked backlash across the UK, especially among those working parents who argued the case that highlighted a broken system rather than bad doctors. Let's see. With long GP wait already common, critics say that sidelining a physician over 2 empty appointments slots feels like accountability, feels less like accountability and more like self-sabotage. So let me make sure that I understand this. This is the stuff that it's ridiculous to me when it comes to certain things. Okay. So number 1, let's start off with the important part. She scheduled 2 fake appointments with 2 clients that did not exist, or 2 patients that did not exist, so that she could go pick up her kids. Okay. That's shitty. Let's just be realistic. She should have actually done something slightly different, saying that she was not available during that time frame. Don't know how it works there in the UK, but I'm just bringing this up. Saying, hey, I'm not available from this hour, can't do it. That's the first thing. So let's call a spade a spade. So for her doing this, and it said that it was a one-time occurrence, and it said irregularities in her work schedule. So then all of a sudden, was it one time or was it multiple times? So if it's one time, I can kind of understand, but you should have not done it under the fake name, but we'll leave that for a different day. But so your way of handling and satisfying this issue is turning around and saying you're suspended for 5 months because you should have been there for those 2 appointments because we're short on doctors. So because you missed an hour, you are suspended for 5 months. So how many patients now are missing out on this doctor shortage? I'm just trying to figure it out because, it's all about math and making some good senso in regards of what the hell you're telling me. But that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever as we are talking. Just think about that for a brief moment in time. In what world does that logic make sense? I don't think it does anywhere. Anyways, 32 minutes past the top of the hour. I think it's time for you know what. So let's do that.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, main story time as we are hanging out on episode, I think it's 1272. Wow. What the hell have I been doing with my life? So let's talk real quick. And if we're going to go through this, why you got into safety and what pulled you away. I mean, I guess that's how I would title this thing. Let me talk about something, and you don't have to answer out loud yet. I might ask you to answer out loud, but you don't have to do it yet. Why did you get into safety in the first place? I want you to think about it just for a brief moment. Not what you say on LinkedIn. Not the mission statement that's on the wall inside of the place that you work. Not the polished answer that you give during an interview, that bullshit stuff that people have to make up for an interview. I mean, the real reason. What was the real reason? Because for most of us, it wasn't that we loved policies, that's for sure, or procedures or paperwork. It wasn't because we dreamed of sitting in a meeting and arguing over wording in a risk assessment. Most people I've met who got into safety did it for one of 3 reasons. Something happened, something almost happened, or someone they cared about got hurt or worse. That's normally it. Those are normally the ones how it happens. And that's usually the entry point. I mean, let's just be realistic. For me, safety was never about compliance. It was never about rules. It was about people. It was about watching organizations talk a big game while quietly accepting damage as the cost of doing business. It was about seeing workers blamed for systems that were already broken long before the incident ever happened. Safety at its core felt like advocacy. It felt like standing in the gap between people and the systems that didn't always care. But somewhere along the way, if you've been in the field long enough, you probably noticed something shift. You stopped talking about people and started talking about process. You stopped asking why and started defending how. You stopped challenging systems and started managing optics. And you're not even, and you might not even remember when it happened, but it did happen. Because it happened slowly. First, you want credibility, so you learn the language. Then you want influence, so you learn the politics. Then you want stability, so then you stop pushing as hard. And before you know it, safety isn't about protection anymore. It's about prevention. And it's always about prevention. I should say it's mostly about preservation. That's what I meant to say. Preservation of your role, preservation of your access, preservation of your seat at the table. And here's the uncomfortable part. The moment safety becomes more about position than purpose, we start drifting away from why we showed up in the first place. We get sidetracked, not because we're bad people, not because we don't care, but because organization reward alignment and not disruption. The reward is calm, not curiosity. The reward is certainty, not doubt. The reward is agreement, not question. And safety, real safety, ask uncomfortable questions. Not sometimes, all the times. It asks why we work and why the work is designed the way that it is. It asks why shortcuts are normalized. It asks why productivity always seems to outrank protection right up until something goes wrong. But politics don't like those questions. Think about it for a moment. Politics prefers smoother conversation, cleaner narratives, less friction. So safety gets reframed. Yeah. We've talked about that. It becomes about dashboards, metrics, lagging indicators dressing up as success stories. Oh, yes, this was extremely successful. Was it not? And human part? Well, the messy, uncomfortable, emotional part gets pushed aside. And here's the irony. Most of us didn't get into safety to manage perception. We got into safety to reduce harm. But harm is inconvenient to talk about. It doesn't fit neatly into a quarterly reports. It doesn't play well in a boardroom. I mean, I think about that for a moment and I kind of chuckle because I remember I used to have an HR vice president that would try to rewrite all of my reports to fit her narrative because I had to report to her and how it had to go through their standards. But let me not get too sidetracked. So instead, we talk about behavior, we talk about compliance, and we talk about buy-in. And slowly, unintentionally, safety turns into inward. Yeah, let's look inward. And it starts protecting itself instead of protecting people. That's not a personal failure. It's a system problem. But awareness matters because when safety loses its original intent, people feel it. Workers feel it when conversations become scripted instead of curious. They feel it when investigations feel like interrogations. They feel it when lessons learned never actually change the work. And then we wonder why trust erodes. Here's the reset point. Every once in a while, you have to ask yourself, if all the politics disappeared tomorrow, if the org chart didn't matter, if the titles were gone, would I still be doing this the same way? Would I still be asking the same questions? Would I still be willing to challenge the system if it was meant discomfort? Because safety isn't supposed to be safe, quote unquote. It's supposed to be protective. And those are not the same things. You didn't get into safety to win arguments in meetings. You didn't get into safety to defend broken systems. You didn't get into safety to become another layer of bureaucracy. You got into safety because at some level, you believed work could be better than it was. Safer, smarter, and humane. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to realign that again. Not by burning bridges, not by grandstanding, by remembering who you actually are there for. Because when safety remembers its purpose, politics loses their grip. And when safety forgets its purpose, politics becomes the job. Think about it. And that's never have been the goal when we first started in the first place. I mean, think about this for a moment. Think about why you showed up in the first place, because that answer still matters, whether the system rewards it or not.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with Home Title Lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
Radio Big.
Never catch yourself thinking, I could do this on my own. If you're a safety officer with real-world skills, you don't have to wait for permission to build your freedom. On Saturday, January 31st, I'm hosting Safety Consultant 101, a free live workshop. In 2 hours, I'll help you package your expertise into a service clients will pay for and set pricing boundaries so you don't get stuck doing free advice forever. Register now at safetyconsultant101.com. Let's build your freedom.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Look at me go, I'm going at. Hey! Way too deep right now, I'm beasting now. Ooh. Can't stop it, I'm at the zone. Hey! Way too deep right now, I'm beasting now. Ooh. Way too deep right now. Ooh.
Okay, here we are.
Can't stop it. I'm
46 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Tuesday. No doubt about that. No, seriously. So let's talk about it. This one's called Way Too Deep by Atya. Songs readily available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and Pandora. Yeah, let's get into it for sure. So there you go, 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 there you go. We'd like to thank Atya for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. Anyways, let's start talking right away about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because that's what we do around here. Let me tell you about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. And we want you to know that people have been where you are now, and things can get better. Healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, you'll be all kinds of information related to, you ready? Addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, and grief support, just to name a few. All you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Listen, you can go there and it can change everything for you. I don't say that jokingly. I say that very seriously as we are talking. TWLOHA.com, To Write Love on Her Arms. I'm going to tell you, I go to that website and it seems to change a lot of stuff on the way that I read the stuff that's listed on there. I might sit there and go, okay, cool. This part doesn't actually have anything to do with me, but there are other people that I know that could use information. TWLOHA.com, To Write Love on Her Arms. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there as we are talking. So there you go. Let's continue talking about some other things going on inside of the world of the multiverse. So here you go. I think I should find it. It is Tuesday, right? So yeah. Do we want it? No, we don't want to do that part yet. Let's hold off on that because I get so misconstrued on some of the things that are going on. So you are aware that we do some things here for you to interact with the show, which is a good, bad, depending on how you want to take a look at it. The good, the bad, the different. So there you go. Are we looking for life advice? Is that what we're doing?
If you could go back in time and give advice to your younger self, what advice would you give to him and her?
Try to be as positive as you can, because tomorrow's going to be a better day unless you make it a worse day.
Okay, so apparently we're looking for life advice from YouTube. That's a YouTube life advice segment for Tuesday, just in case. Were you wondering about that? Because I'm always wondering about some interesting things. So there you go. Somebody sent me this. Should we play this? Let's do this. Are you a Seinfeld fan? You might enjoy this. Take a listen.
It's time for Things I've Learned from Seinfeld.
Hey, you know what the whip does? What whip? The whip in the Senate and the House. Well, you know, in the old days when the senators didn't vote the way that the party leaders wanted them to, they whipped them. You better vote the way we want you to, or there's going to be big trouble.
That's it for Things I've Learned from Seinfeld.
Okay, not sure if that's exactly what a whip does, but man, it sounds interesting. Anyways, with that being said, let's bring somebody in that will bring some smiles to our face, and let's bring in some John Smalls, and he's going to tell us about the Motivation Minute.
Motivation Minute is courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Patrick. Pierre Joseph Proudhon said, "When deeds speak, words are nothing." Wow, what a nice way to say that. It's kind of like saying actions speak louder than words. I think we can all agree on that. Have you ever known somebody who talked a good game, but they never actually followed through? Or somebody who said all the right things, but they did all the wrong things? I'll bet you probably just thought of somebody when I said that. There are famous examples in the political world, but I'm going to steer clear of that subject. We all know somebody who may even be well-meaning, but they fall short of being well-doing. I try to make sure I do the things that I say I'm going to do. It's a pet peeve of mine. I've been on committees where somebody says they're going to do A, B, C, and D, but then the next month they still haven't even done A. Don't be that person.
The Motivation Minute.
This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
Hundreds of people are back on the streets across Iran, pushing ahead with fresh marches, even as security forces tighten their grip.
Officials and rights groups report large crowds moving through major cities despite an ongoing internet blackout and heavy deployments of elite units. Protesters are denouncing economic hardship and political repression, while families search hospitals and clinics for missing relatives. International calls are growing for an independent investigation into the mounting death toll. Benjamin Wright reporting.
Senior officials say the White House is reviewing air and cyber strikes after warning Tehran there would be consequences if forces keep shooting demonstrators. Joseph Eckerson with the latest.
Human rights monitors estimate more than 100 people have been killed during 2 weeks of unrest across all 31 provinces. Israel's government says it is watching the crisis closely and holding high-level security talks on potential fallout in the wider region.
The United States has carried out another round of strikes on Islamic State targets in Syria, hitting sites linked to a deadly ambush last month.
Pentagon officials say the latest wave of attacks is aimed at militants blamed for killing 2 American soldiers and a civilian interpreter near Palmyra. The strikes hit weapons depots and training areas believed to support future assaults on U.S. and partner forces operating in the country. Lawrence Keller reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
Americans continue rallying against immigration and customs enforcement after a deadly shooting in Minneapolis.
Marches stretched from Los Angeles to Washington, where demonstrators chanted outside federal buildings and called for state oversight of immigration enforcement. The protests follow the killing of 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good by an ICE agent during an encounter that remains under investigation. Jessica Oakley reporting.
Minnesota's top Democratic leaders are pressing for a broader probe into the shooting of Renee Good, arguing federal investigators should not handle the case alone.
Party officials are urging state authorities to take a central role in examining how an immigration enforcement operation ended with a woman shot dead. They say the review needs to cover command decisions, use of force policies, and coordination between federal agents and local police. Advocates are also demanding public releases of body camera and witness evidence. Kevin Sanders reporting.
In Mississippi, investigators have arrested a suspect after an overnight fire caused major damage at a historic synagogue.
Authorities say no one was hurt when flames tore through the century-old building, but the sanctuary and several adjoining rooms suffered heavy damage. Fire officials are still working to determine the cause, while police question the person taken into custody about possible criminal intent. Members of the congregation have begun 911 planning temporary services. Liam White reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
We are radio. We are sarcasm. We are both combined. Radio Big.
Oh, yes, we are. 54 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. As I take a look around, back in 2021, President Donald Trump is impeached by the U.S. House of Representatives, voting 232 to 197 for incitement of insurrection. The first time in history a U.S. president is impeached not once, but twice. So there you go. Also back on this day in 2002, yes, George W. Bush faints after choking on a pretzel. Yep. And then in 1999, Michael Jordan of the Chicago Bulls announces his retirement for the second time. And then let me give you one more. In 1998, CBS pays $4 billion to televise the AFC games for 8 years. So there you go. That happened all back on this date. Let's talk about some stuff that before we get into you ought to know, let's talk about some celebrity birthdays real quick. Trevor Rabin turned 72. Julia Louis-Dreyfus turned 65. Trace Atkins, 64. Penelope Ann Miller, 62. Patrick Dempsey, 60. Nicole Eggert turns 54. Orlando Bloom turns 49. And Liam Hemsworth turns 36 today. So there you go. Now let's talk about some things that you ought to know. President Trump posted a doctored image on Truth Social claiming that the acting president of Venezuela, the image was stylized like a Wikipedia entry of him listed as the incumbent as of January of 2026, but no official record government recognizes that designation. It's basically provocative meme, not a legal change in leadership. The post comes in the wake of the explosive events in Venezuela. The U.S. forces captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife earlier this month, and they've been taken to the U.S. to face federal charges domestically. In Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, Maduro's former vice president, was sworn in as the interim president under Venezuelan law, not Trump. In some other news, a federal judge has ordered the president's administration to put nearly $12 million back on the table for American Academy of Pediatrics. The money funds things like rural health care programs and early screening for disability in young children. The U.S. District Judge Beryl in Howell in Washington, D.C. issued the preliminary injunction late Sunday, citing it as with AAP. She said the evidence suggests the Department of Health and Human Services likely cut the grants for retaliatory reasons when they were terminated in December. So there you go. In some other news, let's see. Apple has edged past its long-term rival in the one ranking that matters the most, phone makers, who ships the most devices worldwide. New figures from the market research firm Counterpoint show that Apple captured 20% of global smartphone shipments in 2025, nudging ahead of Samsung at 19%. Chinese brands Xiaocom, Vivo, and Oppo followed at 13%, 8%, and 8% shares, respectively. Shift is notable because Apple and Samsung were effectively tied in 2023 and 2024, each holding 19% and then 18% of the market before then Samsung was on top for more than a decade. So there you go. Anyways, that's going to sum up our time together. Thanks for hanging out with me on this lovely Tuesday. At the top of the hour, I will be going over to RadioBig.fm to go hang out for the next couple hours or so. So if you want to come over there and hang out, you're more than welcome on doing that. So there you go. What else? If I can leave you with some words of wisdom for today, perfection is not attainable. But if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. So keep that in mind. And then if I can give you some advice for today, stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. That's not communication. That's volunteering for frustration. And nobody wants that. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios. as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.
Stop it, I'm in the zone. Stop it, I'm in the zone.